Welcome to the Texas Goat Radio Show. I'm your host, Matorius. This is part 3 of the 1756 live stream by Owen Benjamin, who is claiming that King David is worse than actual human traffickers.
If they left both copies blank. Okay, so what did I start doing? I started leaving both copies every time, because I always tip really well, but I put it in 20-25%, and I'd leave the other copy. And I started thinking, like, I know better than to do that. Like, why am I doing that? And then I realized it was my soul yearning to make it right, because I always felt bad about that. And that's so true in life. You know, it's like when you revelation of method, I always thought that they intentionally do revelation of method or the duper's delight. Because I wanted it to.
That's interesting, the duper's delight. Owen is trying to cast he's painting a picture of him as some kind of person with a moral compass. After this whole live stream is problematic. He's already said that 10-year-olds have the ability to consent. He said that King David was worse than Jeffrey Epstein.
To me, I wanted it, like, and it was all subconscious. I had no fucking idea this was happening. Like, I literally was leaving both copies, and I was like, and then I started seeing it, and I was like, why do I keep doing this? I don't take my copy. And it's because somewhere deep down in my subconscious, I wanted someone to do to me what I had done to those Japs. Of course I can justify it, but it was like, it's still stealing. It's by definition stealing. I used to eat off their plates when they were done eating. Like, I was poor as fuck when I first was in Los Angeles. I was living in a 1-bedroom with 3 guys. I was busting tables, doing stand-up comedy at night. If they sat me 10 Japs that weren't going to tip, I'd lose everything I made that day. So I had to, like, you know, I was eating food off their plates and all that stuff. But anyway, so when you look at the duper's delight, like when you look at that governor that was smiling as he was talking about, you know, the burning Maui, or like these various events. Assuming you haven't done it already, you might want to consider finding a way to give the money back to them. If that's not possible, giving the amount to charity. No, the Japs are fine. I mean, listen, at this point, it's not. It's like I don't feel bad about it. Like at this point,
somebody says, "All right, man. If you actually do feel bad about it, try to rectify the situation. Try to think of how much money you actually did steal from them, and then if you can't track them down, which that would probably be impossible, then give it to charity." No, I don't feel bad about it. The whole thing is just. It's horse hockey. It's what it is.
It's ridiculous that they put us in that position, and the Japs. I don't know. I don't care now. It's fine. All right. Most places say automatic 18% gratuity. Yeah, that didn't exist 20 years ago.
He's like, hey guys, the point of the story wasn't so that I could actually redeem myself. It was so that I could paint a picture of me as someone that you should be able to trust.
Now, and it happened because I think waiters started getting so corrupted because they were put in a situation where, like, you couldn't survive on that. You know, like, think about working at a restaurant where there isn't an automatic gratuity on parties of 10 and you're seating foreigners that don't tip. Every single waiter at that restaurant did that. Every single one. That was not the exception, because there was no other way around. That's how corruption starts. Corruption happens when you put people in situations where, like, you know, what do you do? And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was something. And I know the Reddit trolls are going to have a field day. Oh, Owen was such a thief when he was a waiter. It's a really good story. Now the iPad payments think you should fucking tip them for handing them a muffin. Back in my day, we had each seat had a boiling pot of water in front of it. And so we had to regulate the boiling pot, like the dipping sauces. We had to, like, spice them up, teach them how to do swish, swish, shabu, shabu, bring out Kobe beef, all their alcohol. They get all drunk. And every time they buy a sake, I'd have to pay the bartender 6%. Based on the 18% tip I was going to get. You still do tipping in USA now? Yeah. Tipping is essential for restaurants. And so, so the point I'm making about that is
tipping is essential for restaurants. Spoken by the dude whose life is based on tipping.
Soul wanted it done to me. And that it's so interesting because when you see the duper's delight, when you see people trying to get caught, where they leave things open. They don't cover their tracks. They're smiling as they're discussing a genocide. It's their soul. In my opinion, it's like their fucking soul trying to get caught, trying for someone to stop them. Did you ever mess with their food? No, never. I would never do that. It was always about what I thought was fair. Like, I never, like, fucked with anyone's food. I never tried to hurt anybody. It was like, listen, dude, if you don't tip me, I literally am paying money to serve you, you billionaire fucking Jap cunt. Like, can't you read a fucking handbook about, that's one reason why I don't care about other cultures that much. Is when they're like, oh, that's very disrespectful in Japan to not take off your shoes. I'm like, fuck you, Jap. Like, to this day, I have resentment towards the Japanese. I really do. I hold myself to a higher standard where like the blacks don't tip really at all. You have to get them free shit to get tips. They're horrible, but they would still at least tip like 5%, 8%. You wouldn't lose money on it. But the Japanese would be 0% every fucking time, every time. And so whenever people pretend like Americans have to learn their culture, but they don't learn our culture, I'm like, it's the same with Canadians don't tip that well either. They tip like 10%. White Americans would always be at least 20% because I did a damn good job as a waiter too. And dude, some of the waiters there were just charging the Japs all kinds of stuff. Because that's how corruption works. Like a restaurant is like a microcosm of society. So the Japs are getting drunk. They're not following customary rules. There's no checks and balances. The middlemen, the waiters are being put in this horrible economic situation. So I knew waiters that would be like Kobe. Like they would charge the Japs a ton of money and then add on the tips. I never did that. But I would take the tips. Wasn't Canadians code for black? Yeah. Sunday after church crowd sucks for tipping, but they'll at least do 10, 15%. You won't lose money. The problem is when the waiter loses money. That's why tipping, like so many people that don't understand how restaurants work, there's something called a tip out where the waiter is expected to give 2.5% of their total sales to the busboy. So a zero tip, you're actually costing the waiter money. And I didn't design the system, but that's how the system works. So anyway, let's get back to talking about dick tips. In Japan, oftentimes they will give a higher price menu to English-speaking foreigners where the Jap menu is lower price. Yeah, I mean, in Europe, you don't tip. I remember in the Czech Republic, I would try to tip, and this one guy came out really upset because he thought I was trying to buy his daughter as a prostitute. Minimum, 20% is minimum for me when I go out to eat. I tip 10% from takeout. Like I always tip. Even if it's a takeout menu, I tip. I tip 20%. Yeah. So it's also one reason, just don't eat out if you don't understand this. Like if a table of dirty Japs come to this country to get drunk and eat all the food and live on the big dirty black card, and you don't know how a restaurant works, like I'm not mad about it. Like I hold myself to a standard where I don't steal. Okay, so I felt guilty about what I did, but I don't care about the dirty Japs. I mean, if we have to.
This entire story is just to paint himself as somebody that his audience can trust. That's the only point to it. There's no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And so the listener that is just passively listening is just going to hear, hey, I'm a decent guy because of this story that I'm telling you, which makes me sound vulnerable. But whenever somebody did try to give me an idea that I could redeem myself from this story, I just shut it down because that's not the point of the story.
Bomb them again for them to fucking learn how to understand how a culture works. I'm fine with that. Set fire to their little paper houses. But even in Europe, it's not even a racial thing. Like I remember I was just saying in the Czech Republic, when I tip a waitress, one time a guy was like, my daughter is not a prostitute. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, my daughter is not prostitute. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to buy her for sex. Because I lived in a part of Czech Republic where there wasn't a lot of foreigners. I wanted to get the real experience, And so then they just realized I tipped. And then I became like the mayor of the town. It was hilarious. Okay, so what was I talking about?
And then I became the mayor of the town. Obviously, I don't think that he thinks that he became the literal mayor of the town, but I mean.
So I'm talking about tips. All right. So then it started the whole debate about Pakistanis getting. Should we talk about cheaters? So when a cheater's cheating, they want to get caught on some level. Like they get off on it. They have a duper's delight. They can't believe they're getting away with it. Even if their wife is great to them, they want more, and they almost want to get as close. They almost want to tipping for takeout is insane, says Nick. Hey man, it's like you're black, I'm white, I get it. No big deal. You don't have to do anything. I'm not telling you to tip for takeout. You do whatever the fuck you want, Nick. I've always just been a big fan of the service industry. I think tipping, that's why Nick never tips me. Ever notice that? I've never seen Nick Walker in my entropy stream tips. Gratuity is a very important part of society. It's how you grease the wheels. It's how you show that you support and approve of it. Like, I fucking tip a lady for just taking food and putting it on a fucking counter, okay? I play you all this music and do all this, and then people are like, oh, why are you begging for tips? Listen, you be a cheap cunt all you want, Nick. Let's see how far that gets you in life. Showing gratuity, showing that you're grateful, giving a little extra is really good for society. I tip street magicians for creating true entertainment. Me too. I attempt to tip everybody that I think deserves a little extra. I do it all the time. I'm basically like a mafia guy. Like I just will give money. And
that could have been a little side punch to Owen that he missed. I actually tip street musicians for actually for giving entertainment, real entertainment. Maybe.
You're doing great. You're doing great, kid. Keep crushing. Not Nick. Nick's like, why would I give the valet money? I mean, all he did is drive my car a few blocks. Well, then fuck you then. The people working takeout make $2.65 an hour, $2.65 an hour, at least in Michigan, it's that way. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you smile, don't get me wrong, if you don't say thank you and you don't smile and you don't do a good job and you fuck up my order a few times, then you don't get...
That very well may be the fact of his story that makes him out to be an actual liar. Now, I don't know where he was waiting. Probably in LA is what it sounded like, because he was doing stand-up. So I don't know what the wait staff in LA make. It blows my mind to think that in 2001, the wait staff was making $6 an hour, which was over minimum wage back then. Minimum wage in the early 2000s was $5.25 or $5.75. I think it could have been $7.25. Whenever I started working, minimum wage was just over $5, and that was in the 90s. So to think that they were either making over or just under minimum wage, I don't think so. But it could be.
But I've yet to see that, especially in a high trust community. Like if you're pleasant and you're like, oh yeah, and then you go get the food and you put it.
Just a friendly reminder. High trust community to Owen means shut your mouth whenever you're told to shut your mouth. That's what that means. It doesn't mean what it sounds like.
Together and you're nice and you say thank you, 10% minimum. $100 takeout, there's $10. There you go. Thank you very much. And then they have to split it with people, blah, 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 blah. All right. I don't trust modern city dwellers to prepare my food. Good for you. Mr. Pink, don't tip. And he was the only one who survived, said Boulder Bear. Boulder Bear, don't get your morality from Hollywood movies. What have I talked? I've talked to you about that. I know you didn't have a dad, but Boulder Bear, you don't get your fucking morality in your...
That was actually kind of funny. That was a Reservoir Dogs comment. I didn't realize that. That's funny, though.
Lessons from Quentin Tarantino movies. He also has quite an interesting take on the Holocaust, doesn't he, Boulder Bear? What do you think about the debit machines that force you to tip? What do you mean force you to tip? You don't have to use the debit machine. That's the price of doing business. You want someone to buy a machine and put it out there for you and keep it safe and insure it and fill it with cash, and you don't pay them for that service?
I've never looked at that as a forced tip. It was a cost of the transaction. That's weird.
Why? Why do you think you deserve that service? I looked into owning a ATM machine. I was going to put one in the Hollywood Improv. I literally was. And I was going to own it, and I looked into how much they cost because so many people at the Improv wanted cash, and we'd all have to walk all the way down the street to the Bank of America to get it. So I was like, I'm going to start a fucking ATM business. So I was going to look in. There's a lot of cost to owning an ATM, and if I'd stayed in LA, I would have started an ATM business. Especially in an area where people want cash. You know, the Hollywood Improv is filled with drug addicts who need cash to buy their drugs or their sodomy. So a little grabber like me fills it with cash. I have the insurance.
I don't know if y'all know who Rob Dyrdek is, but he has he used to, I don't know if he does anymore, back whenever he was doing the Fantasy Factory and the Rob and Big television show, he had an ATM in his living room where they would play pool.
Buy the machine, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, $250 to get my cash out? Yeah, let's you fucking get the machine. I don't know, then why don't you walk down the street to the fucking Bank of America then if you're such a fucking prissy little baby. And while you're at it, you'll probably get mugged by Codsworth. Are we off Twitter? Okay, Codsworth, are we off Twitter?
I've never seen an ATM that charges $250, because then that would mean that they would have to give you 50 cents. Hey, I want $20. Well, it's going to be $250. Okay, so then you're going to give me $20.50? Well, that's stupid. That was a dumb thing to say, because then they would just take $250 out of your account. That was dumb. I acknowledge that. That was stupid.
They make a lot of money, at least they used to. Okay, if you don't want to pay your VIG to my ATM, why don't you walk down to the Bank of America from Crescent Heights all the way down to fucking Fairfax on Melrose and get mugged by a nigger? Oh, Coddington, do we have any super chats? Let's keep talking about foreskins. Or unless little Nick doesn't think that it's worth it to super chat a guy who openly says nigger on the internet. Let's see you pay the price for that. Okay.
Yeah, the answer is no to that. If that is the only thing that you have to offer, then the answer is definitely no. He lives in 2016. In his head. He probably lives in 1992 and 2016. Probably just 1992.
There we go. Rudiment Bear, on the topic of circumcision, I read that one. That was a very good point, though, Rudiment Bear. Owen is not on time. We will not survive the weekend. And then Kyneton came in and said, was my fault, not Big Bear's. Yeah, it was Kyneton's fault, but that's okay. I was not going to rub that in. The 200 tips was taken killing his buddy and taking his girl. I don't know what that means. No, if you're justifying the 200 dead dicks, I mean, having to be careful not to crash the truck from...
Says the dude that he said that was worse than what Jeffrey Epstein had done.
Listening and laughing so hard while driving. Jammin' Bear, is it the tip joke? Should I do that joke at the special?
No.
Just me, Bear. What was your copper gravy, Big Bear? Oh, I got copper gravy. Kyneton, remind me of the copper gravy. Sleep deprived, copper and bikes. The whites and the blacks, why do they steal what they steal? I think it has to do with pole shifts. I think that we've had calamities in the past where the only people that survived had a lot of copper or stole a bike or a horse. And that's why it kind of perpetuated in our fucking... I'm swearing too much. I gotta calm down. Hang on. In our DNA. Like the only DNA that survived in a certain area of the world were people that stockpiled copper for whatever reason. Because of like a big electric event or a pole shift or a plasma event, or around the equator, the only people that survived were the ones that had access to a horse or a bicycle. That's a wild theory, but I'm sticking by it. Sleep deprived Bear, thank you for making me laugh so much and so hard that my slant eyes are becoming permanently widened and increasing my peripheral vision. Anytime. Cortisol Bear, the reality is people do a lot of fucked up things, but cutting off tips of baby dicks is right up at the top. I'm not going to shame people because people just do what they're told. Like, I don't want to be the guy that makes every father feel bad for circumcising his baby. It's not the end of the I'm swearing too much. It's not the end of the world. Your kid's going to be fine. Most people I know have clip tips, but it's weird and they don't have a say in it, and I don't like it, okay? But I'm not trying to trigger everybody being like, I love my son and what I did. I don't need it. I don't need it thrown at me. Just, it's not a big deal. Everybody's fine. It might help them not whack off. I don't know. But I'm not taking part in it. My foreskin's worth 1,000 pounds of gold. I was a waiter in South Africa.
Which is over $20 million USD.
We got 25, ran a shift, and made 1,000 in tips, 10% basic tip, 20% if you looked after the table. That's what you should get. 10% if you basically do counter service. Like if you just sit down and someone just drops stuff, 10%. 20% if there's refills of drinks, there's communication, you're talking, 25, 30% if there's like some humor, some romance is taking place, someone's facilitating, sometimes I would get 100% tips. That's why I felt bad about stealing from the Japs. It's because it was made...
He's a liar. He's a liar. He has already said that he was broke. And now he's saying that he caught himself in a lie just now. Let's see how he works his way through this.
I don't know. I shouldn't feel bad about those dirty Japs. I mean, the fact they survived the bombings, they should just be happy every day that they're alive and welcome in our country after what they attempted to do, with the emperor. Yeah, where's your emperor now, Japs? 18% is the least. See,
he was about to. He was starting to tell the story of how awesome he was at the job and that he would get 100% tips. But then he realized, oh, I've already painted the picture that I was this poor broke boy doing the best that I could, eating off of other people's plates because of how broke I was. But then you can't be super successful and super broke at the same time. So now he's doing this.
That's wrong. I'm justifying. I'm using the Talmud. I'm getting racial, right? I don't want to be that guy. My soul yearns to be a better man. But part of me wants to look at those Japs right in the eye and say, you're lucky, Jap, that we let you end this, that we don't put you in a camp right now for the little shenanigans that you're trying to pull with your little fucking planes. And I mean, these people have so little value for life. They'll fly a plane right into a ship. They don't care. They have no dick. Imagine if you're a little Jap and you have no dick. You just fly a plane into a ship. No one even notices you died. So, I mean, the least I can do is take a little off the top, right? Now, don't succumb, Big Bear. Don't succumb. You should not have stolen from those Japs. Even if they were drunk, slant-eyed, disrespectful little fucks. This is the first paragraph. I swear to God, I did not pre-read this. I just opened it. You said that a valet parks your car, a waiter brings you a plate of food, and you tip them. Yes. They don't do much in comparison than what you provide. That's the first fucking line.
Not a chance. I'm going to go ahead and say no on that. Hey guys, my life is so magical. Not a chance. There is not a chance whatsoever that this is what really happened. No.
Because I keep hearing people be like, I was listening to Crow and he was talking about how he needed precision tweezers and he looked it up and it already that's what it knew he wanted. And then everyone keeps saying it's AI and I'm like, is this AI? This is happening to me all the time. And you can say, but Big Bear, don't you know? Dude, I was just, not only, that's just insane. That's just insane. Okay. Thank you much for all the laughs and the high-octane content we all enjoy. Nutrient-dense information, well worth giving you tips for our appreciation. I'm thoroughly enjoying learning answers to questions I've... tube and all that stuff. All right, this was just in a letter in the mail that went to my post office. I just said what I said, and lumber, and it's Obama and the faggot from Canada there. All right, I got some more letters here. God will replace parts of the lyrics with puns. No, he won't. Not if he wants half the tips. Dear Owen, you said that a valet... Oh, no way. Okay, can I just state...
Okay, so this is 100% absolute horse hockey. There's nothing true to what he's about to say whatsoever. He is not a good actor, and this is just, if you believe this to be true, then I'm sorry to say that you are a buffoon. Now, this is one of the reasons why he has said the things that he has said. I don't think he's as dumb as what we sometimes like to think that he is, because this is all by design. If you take everything separately and then draw the connections to it. So he has already said that 10-year-olds can consent. He's already said the Bible is worse than the Quran because the Bible has King David killing 200 people and circumcising those people. And there's nothing in the Quran that is anywhere close to that, or however he worded it, even though there is things that are just insane in the Quran. He said that King David was worse than Jeffrey Epstein. He told the story. It was a self-humiliation ritual type story of how, I know there's going to be a bunch of judgment coming my way, but whenever I was a young broke boy and in the early 2000s, I was working at a restaurant I was a waiter getting paid $6 an hour, which is crazy. And I would steal from Japanese customers because they didn't know the customs of tipping. And I thought it was my soul that was crying out to God for redemption. I wanted to get caught. He talked about valets. And then we're supposed to believe that this is just organic.
Replace parts of the lyrics with puns. No, he won't. Not if he wants half the tips. Dear Owen, you said that a valet... Oh, no way. Okay, can I just state something? You guys just watched me open... Okay, you know people are paranoid that AI is reading your mind with YouTube? You'll get taken by a half-brother with a bell for a mother. Words in my bucket, brother, straight out of Missouri. Damn, that shit is based. That's great, dude. I fucking love that. Oh, my God. I don't think I can memorize that for the show, but I would love for you to do it. Connington, you're doing nothing with your life. Can you memorize that for your own section? I have to remember all the shit I'm already remembering. I'm tapped out, guys. I'm done. Who's the writer? Hats off. That's Polar Bear. This is a funny meme. Already did? You're memorizing it? Good.
Okay, so he just put down a letter. Okay? There's no sign of him opening
pick out some lumber.
anything.
I sure hope the lumber's straight. The lumber. And it's Obama and the faggot from Canada there. All right. I got some more letters here. God will replace parts of the lyrics with puns. No, he won't. Not if he wants half the tips. Dear Owen, you said that a valet... Oh, no way. Okay, can I just state something? You guys just watched me open... Okay, you know people are paranoid that AI is reading your mind with YouTube and all that stuff? All right, this was just in a letter in the mail that went to my post office. People are paranoid...
All right, so we're going to slow this down.
That AI is reading your mind with YouTube and all that stuff. All right, this... Okay, can I just state something? The lyrics with puns. No, he won't. Not if he wants half the tips. Dear Owen, you said that a valet... Oh, no way. Okay, can I just...
You're witnessing somebody swindle right now. This is swindling. This is snake oil salesman. This is bull. This is a step above horse hockey. This is this is horse hockey. This is a very good example of horse hockey. This is insane.
Something. You guys just watched me open. Okay. You know people are paranoid that AI is reading your mind with YouTube and all that stuff? All right, this was just in a letter in the mail that went to my post office. Okay. You know people are paranoid that AI is reading your mind with YouTube and all that stuff? All right, this was just in a letter in the mail that went to my post office. I just said what I said, and I opened it. In your mind with YouTube and all that stuff. All right, this was just in a letter in the mail that went to my post office. I just said what I said, and I opened it, and this is the first paragraph. I swear to God, I did not pre-read this. I just opened.
He's a liar. He is an absolute liar in this moment. He just swore to God on a lie.
You said that a valet parks your car, a waiter brings you a plate of food, and you tip them. Yes. They don't do much in comparison than what you provide. That's the first fucking line. Because I keep hearing people be like, I was listening to Crow and he was talking about how he needed precision tweezers, and he
This is disgusting at this point. And there's people that, surely, I would like to hope that the majority of the people that are still listening to him, that are sincerely listening to him, and they sincerely want to support him, they look at this and they see it for what it is, and they just say, oh, I mean, it is what it is. I would like to hope that they don't believe this to be true.
Looked it up and it already that's what it knew he wanted, and that everyone keeps saying it's AI.
All right, so this is the Texas Go Radio Show, and I'm your host, Pretorius. As always, till next time.